Yes, I know so many folks don't seem to worry about a lot that ain't their own. One day our hearts will finally see.
Hello and welcome. This is The Art of Giving Up, your podcast for giving up bad days, bad ways, unfortunate friendships, bad habits. Sometimes just giving up because life is too hard, and sometimes it's good for your mental health. As always, I'm your host, Steven, and I'm here with you. Yes, you, to invite you on my journey of self-discovery, of growth, and of love. And yes, if you hear something a little different, again, I am using a completely different setup because I think that someone stole something from me, so I have a lot of equipment that I can't use. However, that doesn't mean anything because, this is not really, this is not NPR, this is not anything but me, a person, sometimes joined by other people, talking to you about things that matter to me. Now, if you want to be part of the conversation, like I say always, you can always join me at Art of Giving Up, Facebook, DA Art of Giving Up on Twitter, Art of Giving Up Podcast on gmail.com, and if you want anything else, I think that's it. Right? Yeah. Facebook, The Art of Giving Up, right? Instagram, The Art of Giving Up. Yeah, that's all. That's everything that matters, okay? And this week, what are we going to talk about? Well, we're going to talk about compassion. Because, being compassionate is important. Being compassionate to people and being understanding is key. And I think it might sound like a strange subject because you would think, oh, well, we all know that you have to be compassionate. Compassion is something that's ingrained in us all, isn't it? And compassion is just a thing that we all do. When the truth is, it took me a long time to truly be compassionate. So this week I reached out on Instagram like I want to do, and I asked a question. I asked some of my followers what some of the things that they were struggling with, and I have them here in front of me. And, nothing detailed, just like maybe some word or an edge. I was like, what is something that's bothering you? What are you struggling with right now? And a few of the things I've gotten was deal with being depressed, which is definitely something I think that I can understand, and a lot of people who are listening to this can understand, because depression is on many levels, many different types of depression, many different levels of severity. But I think that we can all agree that it's no joke. Whether it's seasonal, whether it's genetic or hereditary, or whether it's a learned, whether it's a chemical imbalance, depression is something hard that a lot of us deal with. What else did I get? I got staying present. That is something I know that I've had a hard time with personally. I've had a hard time with all these. Staying present is definitely something that I find a lot of people with depression, a lot of people with anxiety, a lot of people who are struggling, period, have a hard time doing. Why? Well, I'm glad you asked. Staying present doesn't just mean like being aware of what's going around you at all times or what's going on right now. It really means staying connected with the people around you and being grounded in the situations that you're in. And sometimes when life is hard, when things are struggling, it's easy to disassociate. It's easy to dive into the world of Facebook or Instagram or into a book or to terrible relationships, because even when you put yourself in a relationship, it's not being present, because you can be, putting a barrier between yourself and the things that are really going on, or you could be trying to distract yourself from things like the next one I got here, which was wanting to quit their job. And again, I just came from the situation where I guess I had some kind of Stockholm syndrome. I spent a lot of time in a place doing something that I enjoyed, and it wasn't easy. It was kind of hard, and it kind of stayed hard. And you look at it, and you need the money, you need your mental health, you need your time. And just I've watched relationships and friendships fall apart because I spent all this time at work. But unfortunately, we need money. What else did I have here? Confidence. Oof. Man, somebody here is talking about me, but I know it. Even when I'm doing this, it's funny. Talking about my missing equipment, I'm recording using this mic. And the thing about this mic is, you might not notice it, but I do. When you're recording with this microphone, this is a dynamic microphone, and it is way high quality, it's a little cheap, and it picks up everything, which is really good for certain things, but I don't have soundproofing. I live in an apartment in New York City. And with my other microphone, even though sometimes when I'm recording, I think I hear things in the background, it definitely does a good job of isolating me, right? So now that I'm back on this, I'm suddenly feeling these weird pangs of anxiety and a lack of self-confidence like I used to have when I first started doing this. Because when I first started doing this, I had this microphone plugged into a different computer, and one time I stuck myself in a closet. Another time I sat like 5 feet from here and I put a blanket over myself. And sometimes I would talk like this, and other times I talk like this. And I used to use podcast voice because I thought that this was NPR. And I tried a lot of different things. And I remember last year, I was having bad congestion, and I sat here and I recorded an episode. But I tried, and I pushed through, and it made me feel better because I was struggling. Things would happen, and my grandfather passed away, and I kept doing it. But this little setback definitely has impacted my self-confidence because suddenly I'm super aware, and I have to do things I have to change my theme song, and I have to actually edit the podcast now. I can't just record into the recorder and snip off the other bits, and do it live and mix it live. I have to actually put in a little effort, put in some work. And that's scary for me, That's kind of terrifying. It's kind of terrifying to look and see how just different things are. And, it's funny because now that I'm dealing with all these things, when I'm dealing with these feelings, I don't know, I've just become so much of a more empathetic person. I'm thinking back to a time where there's a person who I care about very much, who I love dearly, and many, many years ago, we were close when we first met, and something was going on with them. Something really bad. And a few of my friends listen to this, so if you listen to it, assume it was you. It's probably not, but assume it was you, whatever. And so something really bad was going on, and I was definitely not present. I was so wrapped up in my own mind and my own head and my own selfishness about how I feel. And what I think, that I was completely oblivious to the harm and the negativity and the bad things that was happening to and around them, And then as I got older, I did start to understand and become more empathetic, but I had this weird kind of toxic, walk it off, rub some dirt on it, I know it sucks, but be happy, go for a walk, and I think about it, and I look around and I see how everyone I know is having a hard time. I look around and I see how everyone I know is struggling. And I think to myself, how could I ever just have this weird, callous, offhand opinion and view of just whatever, do harder, do better. If I think about it, personally, it stems from me never really trying to do anything. When I was a child, I had a lot of issues. My mother is amazing, but I didn't live in an amazing place. And I was surrounded by a lot of things and people and bullies, and I was beaten by my peers and beaten by the authority figures in my life. And I struggled, And I think that, as I got older, I kind of put up a barrier. And then I had a lot of anxiety and a lot of stuff. So I never, when I dropped out of college the second time, and I was living in my house with my mother and hanging out at a public library every day, I didn't do anything. I didn't try anything. I didn't grow. So I would look at people, and people would be struggling and in angst and in pain, and they'd be struggling. They'd be going through it. And I would just look at them and be like, yo, whatever is wrong with you? Like, you're at work and you're struggling. Get a new job. You're doing good. You must not be doing good enough. Well, I learned the hard way. And maybe it's not the best thing ever. Maybe I shouldn't have had to struggle myself to really be able to empathize and understand. But the things that I've done to people or around people, or the amount of negligence that I've exhibited, all stems from my own lack of experience. And while I wish that, I really wish a lot of the things that happened to me hadn't. Maybe I'd be in a different place, but maybe not. Maybe this is the starting point for me. Because when these bad things happen to you, they kind of give you a perspective, and you look and you see people, and it's like, yo, I see you now. I understand you. And you understand that lying and manipulation and theft and violence and anger, none of that benefits you. And none of that it doesn't benefit anyone. It doesn't benefit anyone. And so now when I look at people, I really feel it. I feel whatever it is that they're feeling. And in a way, I find it to be overwhelming, but I think that in a way it's kind of like karma, because I see everyone so hurt, so damaged and dragged down, and I can't even think about myself. Life is hard. People can't just be fixed. Back when I didn't do anything with my life, back when I didn't have motivations or goals, back when I didn't know anything other than staying out late and playing freaking Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh! Back when I didn't think about or do anything but come home and stress my mother out or cut school, I didn't really think or feel or empathize. And so when I was presented with a problem, I took it like a math problem. I took it as one of those people who always thought they were smarter than they were. One of those people who did good in school, but not good enough because they weren't really motivated. I took it like one of those people. I looked at it and I thought, this is a problem, I could solve it, and you're just a person and whatever. Do better. If you're struggling, stand up. You need help? Help yourself. And now, I'm here. This is a stupid saying that I used to have on my MySpace and on my Zanga. And it was like, all of us are in the gutter, but some of us are looking up at the stars. And the truth is, yes, we are all in the gutter. We're all in it together. We're all in the muck, in the mud. And what we need to do really is to reach out and to take the hands, or the hand, maybe two hands. I have big hands. I could take my one hand and take both of your hands. To take the people around you and to pull them close to you, to pull them up with you, to lean on each other, to support each other, to learn, and to teach each other, because I think my mother did a good job with me, but she was a single mother, and I think that there was definitely a bit of my social education that took me a little too long to get there, to really understand. And now, when I'm surrounded by people who have a lack of social education, I try to help them, and I try to help them understand, and I realize that I can still sometimes be very be kind of an asshole. Be like, this is how it goes. This is what it is. This is how you fix it. But you can't fix people. People aren't there to be fixed. People are there to be loved, to be supported. People are there to live. I want to thank you. Yes, I want to thank you again for joining me, for allowing me to express myself, allowing me to share my thoughts, allowing me to be, to grow. And if there's anyone out there listening to this who I've hurt, or anyone out there who I've tried to help, if there's anyone out there in your life who's struggling, love them, hold them. Don't let things come between you. And always put your mental health on a pedestal. Prioritize your mental health. Yes, that is important. Prioritize your mental health. As always, I'm your host, Steven. This is The Art of Giving Up. I love you. You're amazing. And I want you to remember that happiness is a habit. Peace.
It's strange what desire will make foolish people.